The most important things we learn in life often begin the moment we step outside our comfort zone, because it's in those moments of uncertainty, challenge, and even fear that we discover our true strength and potential. We've all experienced those moments, the moments when everything feels unfamiliar, when we're not sure of what comes next, but we keep going anyway. Those are the moments that shape us the most. For me, that lesson began during a major change in my own life. Many of us know what it's like to grow up somewhere that feels predictable, where routines, faces, and places around us stay the same. For me, that place was Switzerland. Most weekends began with early morning ski trainings and ended with time spent along the lake or in the city with friends. Trains arrived exactly when they were supposed to, neighbors rarely changed, and life moved in a way that was very predictable. It was safe, familiar, and easy. And at that age, I believed that was the best feeling in the world. Looking back now, I understand that kind of comfort can be deceptive. It feels good, but it can quietly hold us in place. A life without change asks nothing of us, offers no challenge, and leaves the best part of who we could be undiscovered. The best parts of who we become are often forged in the uncomfortable moments, the moments that push us to adapt, to reach out, and to grow. Stepping outside what feels safe is rarely easy, but it's in those spaces that we start to become something more. Good morning, Appleby. My name is Celeste Belan, and I have the honor of being this year's Bailey House Intercultural Leader. My family and I first moved to Appleby in 2020 from Switzerland. Yes, we moved halfway across the world during a global pandemic. Well, for many, that might seem like a terrible idea, and while I thought so too at the beginning, I came to learn that this experience has taught me more about resilience, connection, and growth than any comfortable experience ever could. Appleby became the first Canadian school I had ever attended. Overnight, my surroundings changed from alpine villages to large school buildings, from train rides to yellow buses, from hearing one language in a local market to mostly hearing one accent in the hallways. The big changes were obvious, but what surprised me the most were the small ones. I said football when everyone else said soccer. I said crepes the way people pronounce in Europe while my friends said crepes. And even recently, I found out I say buffet instead of buffet. People noticed, and so did I, because each one reminded me that I was somewhere new, somewhere that wasn't quite mine yet. Each word was a small piece of home that now felt slightly out of place. In a way, I was carrying Switzerland with me in everything I said and did. At first, I felt caught between two worlds, not quite Swiss anymore, but not fully Canadian either. Despite having a Canadian passport, I didn't feel fully Canadian, and I guess I never fully will be. Everything around me was new, and even the smallest things, like how people joked or greeted each other, felt unfamiliar. I missed the rhythm of home, but I also didn't want to let that stop me from building something new. On my very first day at Appleby, we took our student card photos. I still have mine. Every time I look at it, I see someone who is trying to look her best to look confident while feeling completely unsure inside. It's funny now because that photo doesn't remind me just how nervous I was. It reminds me of how much I've grown since then. It wasn't until my second day of school that someone changed that feeling. Her name was Charlotte Bennett, and she asked me if I wanted to have lunch with her that day. It might sound small, but in that moment, it meant everything. A part of me wanted to stay known, to stay in my shell, to eat alone like I had the day before. But another part of me knew that the only way to make Canada feel like home again was to say yes. That yes became the first step toward belonging. Looking back, I realized that moment wasn't just about lunch. It was about courage, about choosing to be uncomfortably comfortable. What I didn't realize at the time was that this feeling of being on the edge would eventually teach me how to create a sense of belonging for myself and for others. As time went on, I realized those differences weren't something I needed to fix. They were just part of who I was. The more I stopped trying to act or sound like everyone else, the more I started to feel like myself again. I learned to laugh at the small things, like how I pronounced buffet, and not take them so seriously. It wasn't about standing out or blending in, it was about being comfortable with the in-between. And somehow, that's when everything started to click. When I was 10 years old, my family and I traveled to South Africa and visited a small village near Cape Town. It wasn't a long visit, but it taught me something that stayed with me ever since. We spent the afternoon meeting local families and playing with the kids who were laughing and chasing each other through the dust. It was around Easter, and I remember handing out small pieces of chocolate I had brought from home. Their excitement over something so simple stayed with me. In that moment, I realized that connection doesn't need words or similarity. It just needs kindness. What stood out wasn't how different things were. It was the warmth and openness of the people we met. There was an incredible sense of community everywhere we went and a genuine care people had for one another. It made me realize that comfort doesn't come from familiar surroundings, it comes from connection. That day showed me that sometimes the most meaningful lessons come quietly, from simply noticing, giving, and appreciating the world through someone else's eyes. Then, in grade 10, I had the opportunity to go on my global education trip to Bali. I went with two of my closest friends, Addie and Josie, but even with them beside me, I felt the same nervous energy I had when I first arrived at Appleby. We'd been traveling across Bali and between smaller islands, learning about sustainability and how local communities protect their environment. Each place had something new to teach us, from learning about sustainability at the Green Camp to exploring the islands, walking through markets, and seeing how tradition and community shape everyday life in Bali. At one of the stays, we encountered a rat in the middle of the night. Actually, two, on separate occasions. The first time, Addie, Josie, and I were sharing a room when I woke up to squeaking and opened my eyes to see a huge rat right in front of me. I immediately shook them awake, and within seconds, all three of us were crammed into one tiny bed, too scared to sleep alone, but laughing so hard we couldn't stop. It wasn't the night we expected, but it's one we'll never forget. It reminded me that sometimes the best moments aren't the ones that go according to plan, but the ones that catch us off guard and force us to just live in them. That night in Bali wasn't perfect. It was chaotic, loud, and uncomfortable, but it reminded me that growth often begins when comfort ends. Sometimes it looks like three friends in a single bed, laughing through chaos and realizing that even in the most unexpected places, we can still feel completely at home. When I entered my last year, I realized how much my perspective on comfort and challenge had evolved. Over time, the people around me, teachers, advisors, and friends, became the ones who helped me step outside what feels safe. Two of those people are my advisors, Ms. Ryder and Mr. Baron-Sluga. Ms. Ryder has known me since grade 7 when I barely spoke up in Home 4 meetings and preferred to listen rather than share. She saw potential in me long before I saw it in myself. Her calm encouragement showed me that growth doesn't always come from grand gestures, it can come from patience, reflection, and showing up consistently. Mr. Baron-Sluga has known me since grade 10. He's the one who taught me that leadership doesn't mean having all the answers. It means being open to learning, to trying, and to being vulnerable in front of others. Both of them have shown me that leadership begins the moment we decide to stretch far beyond what feels easy. That understanding shaped me long before I ever held a position, and that's what made me say yes when I was offered the opportunity to become Bailey House's intercultural leader. On paper, it was a title, but in reality, it became a reflection of everything I'd learned about belonging. My goal wasn't just to represent different cultures, it was to build connection that make people feel seen, valued, no matter where they come from. Through all these experiences, I've learned 3 lessons about growth and what it truly means to live uncomfortably comfortable. The first lesson is that courage often feels uncertain. It's not about fearlessness, it's about choosing to act even when things feel unfamiliar. For me, courage began saying yes to Charlotte's invitation, with stepping into a new country during a pandemic, and with learning to laugh when there was a rat in my room in Bali. Courage doesn't wait until we're ready. It begins the moment we take the first step. The second lesson is about belonging. Belonging isn't something we find, it's something we build. We don't fit into a place by changing who we are. We create belonging by showing up authentically and allowing others to do the same. When we stop trying to blend in, we discover that connection grows from honesty, not perfection. And the third lesson is that leadership lives in the small moments. It's not about standing on a stage, it's about standing beside someone. It's built in the decision to welcome, to listen, to encourage. Real leadership is quiet, steady, and rooted in empathy. When I look back on my time at Appleby, the things that stand out aren't the trophies or the transcripts, they're the friends who became family, the mentors who challenge us, and the moments when our community showed us what true leadership looks like. Those experiences have shaped me into the person I am today. That, more than any title, is what I will carry forward. If there's one thing I've learned, it's that the moments that make us the most uncomfortable are often the ones that shape us the most. The most important things we learn in life really do begin the moment we step outside our comfort zone, because it's in those moments of uncertainty, challenge, and even fear that we discover our true strength and potential. That's what it means to live uncomfortably comfortable, to step into the unfamiliar and to let it change us, because that's where growth begins. And somewhere along the way, through all the challenges and changes, this place and the people in it become our home away from home. Now let's be comfortable by singing 135 in the Red Book, Called by Earth and Sky.